Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you're with us today. As I think most people know by now, one of the two most important lessons that Jesus taught us was to forgive. When his disciple Peter asked him, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Jesus said to him, I didn't say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7 times. That's Matthew 18:21 to 23. The word to seven in biblical times meant a whole heck of a lot. So, in other words, we're asked to forgive every single time, no matter what anyone ever might do to us, that's a big deal. Forgiving goes hand in hand with loving too. So again, we're to forgive universally. And fortunately, Jesus' method of automatic prevenient forgiveness works very well indeed. But our guest today teaches another approach to forgiveness that might work even better for you. Our wonderful guest, who is with us today for the sixth time, is Brenda Reiss. Brenda is dedicated to helping people overcome obstacles through a special five-step forgiveness process. She says that self-forgiveness helped her to transition out of victimhood and into the life that she was meant to live. Brenda has experienced those obstacles firsthand in the form of toxic relationships, eating disorders, and anxiety, which can consume everyday life for some people when problems like these are allowed to control our lives. Brenda has developed a very successful forgiveness coaching practice, and she's written a really terrific little book. It's called Forgive Yourself. It's short, it's easy to understand, and I think everybody ought to read this book. Oh, my wonderful friends, I'm going to give you two key points to explain why I think that what Brenda teaches really is so important. First, to be perfectly frank, the people who terribly wrong us, who stick in our minds forever, and we really, oh my goodness, we're so upset about them. They don't care at all whether we ever forgive them. It doesn't trouble them of one little bit. They don't care. Forgiveness of others is always the gift that we give to ourselves. And it's the greatest gift we ever can give to ourselves, no matter how hard it may be. And second, many people don't even realize that the core problems at the center of their lives have to do with things for which they're blaming themselves. So self-forgiveness may, in your case, be something that you especially need to learn. But I'm hoping that Brenda will talk a lot more about that today. Welcome, my dear Brenda. It's so good to have you back with us.
It's such a joy to be with you. I love our conversations.
Yeah, we have fun together, don't we?
We do, yeah.
Now, you call yourself a self-forgiveness coach. Talk
Mhm.
about that.
So, the reason do self-forgiveness is because it's one of those, in my world, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness, depending upon how we look at it. So, and the reason why is all of us really are one energy, right? That's my belief. We're one energy. And so therefore, if we're one energy, we're not separate. So everyone is a mirror for me so that I can see what's hidden inside me that I can work on so that I can learn to love myself. I believe.
Say it again, because that's big.
Yeah, yeah, it is big.
Say it
So
again.
I believe that all forgiveness is self-forgiveness because I believe
Because
we're one energy. We are
one
one
energy,
energy, right? And so if we're one energy, then everyone is a mirror for me.
everybody is a mirror
Yeah.
for you. That's
Yeah.
huge.
It is. And it's a concept that once I understood it, changed how I viewed people and situations and myself.
Wow. That's really a wow.
It is a wow. It is a big one. That's why, it takes a little bit to get there. But once we get there, it was something, Roberta, that excited me so much because then I could see that life wasn't happening like to me, like I could release and let go of my victimhood a little
You're
bit
not
better.
a victim. That's really huge.
It was huge because if I believe that everything is happening to me, then it's everybody else's fault, right? It's
Yep.
it's their fault, like my ex. It was my ex's fault. It was my father and my mother's fault. It was, the friend's fault. And if I do that, then I'm giving all my power away. I'm giving all my energy to out there.
Wow. This is giant information in every single sentence because so many people live their whole lives as victims.
Yes. Yep. And it took me until my like late 40s to figure that out. I just thought that's how life was. Things just kept
Yes.
happening, and I was putting out fires, and poor me, and I was struggling, and I thought that's what life was supposed to be. And it's not.
No, it is not.
Mm-mm.
Nobody is a victim. I don't care what anybody seems to have done to you. You are not a victim.
No. No, and
Yes.
that was really huge for me to, I mean, it was like kaboom. It was like the mic drop moment. It was like, what? And when I understood where I was falling into victim, right? Because once you become aware of something, our brains, luckily our brains will show us other areas that, oh, this is familiar and this is familiar, right? Here it is. Once I choose to be aware, which is a big deal.
Yes. Once you choose, that's another big one. Once you choose
Choose.
to be aware, because you can spend your whole life refusing
Yep,
to be aware of facts in your
absolutely.
own life.
Yep.
I refuse to see that. It's not there. Yes.
No. No, and the
Instead, you can
awareness.
spot it and take responsibility
Thank you.
for those facts. Yes.
Absolutely. Because when we become aware and then we choose to take responsibility, like for our part, I'm not saying if something has happened to us, I'm not saying that we weren't victimized,
Yes.
but I get a choice on whether I'm a victim of that circumstance or
Yep.
not.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
That's right.
Because if we have awareness and we choose to take responsibility and see what is my part in this and how can I move forward, that provides me the space for choice. Because
A
before,
space for choice. Everything you say is so important. That's what I love about this.
I know it was so, I mean, I was so excited to like, oh my gosh, oh, because I get to experience it myself, right? I can't teach something that I haven't experienced. And at least I don't agree. I don't believe that we need to teach something that we haven't really felt or gone through ourselves.
That's
And so
right.
when I felt that choice, I can choose whether I want to move forward out of victim or stay in victim if that's what I want to do,
That's
right?
right.
If that's what I want to do. And I think that that's really important for us to recognize.
Absolutely.
This choice is a big
And
deal.
you can own it, and that lets you begin to free yourself from it. Yes.
Absolutely. I just took one of my clients through the self-forgiveness. So in the radical forgiveness that I teach we do tangible things like worksheets and different things like that. And going through this process where she was hanging on to something that happened a long time ago, but she thought about it a lot, where she felt that she betrayed a friend. And she was so, it made her feel like she wasn't trustworthy. If you feel like you're not trustworthy, you're not going to show up in the world. So she was like wanting to do her business and she couldn't step out into her business. She was angry with her husband and kids. She was just because of this festering of this like hot coal of I'm not trustworthy because she felt she betrayed this friend. This friend didn't feel that way as she found out, but she was holding on to this. And we went through the self-forgiveness work. And she's like, oh my gosh, I don't have to hold on to this because she could then feel as she was moving it through the process. She's like, oh, my friend never has been angry with me. Oh, at the end of this process, she's like going, I can feel the love that she has for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was so, oh my God, it was so wonderful to watch just her whole face change. She's like, I don't have to carry this. It's like, no, no. Because like you said in the intro, it's like, you know what? It's like other people aren't feeling the same as what we're holding on to. They don't care, right, if we forgive them or not in a lot of cases. It's not about them, it's about us.
Yeah.
And I really truly believe that to my core. That's why I call it self-forgiveness, because it's one of those things where, you know, people, they want self-forgiveness. They want to understand themselves. They want to know who I am. They want to love themselves more because we all have regret. We all have these resentments. We all have these things. Like if we could get into each other's heads and hear the conversation of what's going on in there,
Right.
we're like, I don't want anybody to hear how I talk to myself. But we have to start outside of ourselves, as we've talked about before, because self-forgiveness is really hard to begin with. Because in our brains, we've got the judge, the jury, the prosecutor, the defense attorney, the victim. We've got
The whole
every,
play is going on in our
we've
head.
got the whole thing. So who's forgiving whom,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So that's why in self-forgiveness, whenever if we look at this concept of all my relationships are a mirror for me, then what is happening? What am I seeing? Instead of being like, man, that person's got a problem, they're super angry, right? They need to like chill out. They need some help. They need some anger management,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? So if we turn it back around and go, where am I angry? Where am I angry with myself? Where am I? Because it's subtle, right? Because a lot of these emotions and feelings we've stuffed, we've repressed or suppressed them down. And so sometimes we don't see that, and I learned that through my ex when he was angry all the time. I mean, angry, angry, angry,
Oh
just
my.
at life. And I was being the good girl. I'm very codependent. I had codependent tendencies and very codependent. I tried to smooth things out, tried to make everything okay, right? And then after when I finally realized this isn't working, when I started to do the work, the forgiveness work and started to work on myself, I was like, wait a second, I can't stay in this marriage like this. Because he told me, I'm not going to do the work. I'm not going to do it. I want to stay married to you, but I don't want to do the work. So after I left, I realized that he was showing me, he was a reflection of anger for me
Yeah.
because, I had stuffed down all because I became raging angry. And it's like, oh, but I didn't feel safe enough in that relationship to show my anger. Because our bodies are wonderful. They will hold on to our feelings for us until they can't anymore or until they feel safe enough.
Yeah. Whatever happened to him? Did he ever get straightened out?
Yeah, so actually we are friends today. It was quite a remarkable story, in the sense that yeah, we ended up that was a quite a marriage. That was a lot of lessons in this marriage, and we were married about 11 years. And what happened with him is he ended up, so I don't know if I told this story before, where I
I
was
think he did.
he went to prison. So what
What?
happened was, I know.
Yeah.
Well, but I was supposed to be the one to go. Yeah. So what happened was in this marriage, and I share about this, I do a talk on this, where he had, with a business partner, they had decided to do some real estate things back in 2008, 2009, when the crash happened. They were doing these real estate things, trying to help people they were buying houses and then turning around and selling them to people who didn't have the money or the credit. Well, back then you didn't have to prove a whole lot. So luckily I didn't know because at that time I just wanted to please him. I didn't ask questions. And I was a little bit afraid because he had an anger issue, right? So I was a
Right.
little bit afraid. I know it's a total different person than who I am today, but I signed my name to papers that was illegal because it was like they bought a lot of houses without proving things. So the FBI came knocking at my door
Oh my goodness.
once I divorced him And they said, you're looking at 7 to 10 years of prison. We want him, but your name's on the papers. So if he doesn't agree, you're the one going to go to prison, you and the other wife. Yeah. So it was a 2 year experience. I'm going to tell you, it's a wonderful thing. When you know the FBI is watching you, you really kind of clean up your act.
Big time. Hi.
Yeah. So it was this, I was just like you see on TV, I was interrogated. It was just awful. It was an experience of how I learned though about what codependence can do, what not standing up for myself can do, where my power was going and not standing and I'm not bringing my power back to me. I learned to do that. He finally agreed. And then he went to prison. And in that prison, he was reconnected with God. And because he had just been angry at everything and everyone. And we'd started a communication by email while he was there. And he asked me for forgiveness. Now, not everybody gets that.
Wow.
Yes. He said, I
Amazing
realize
story.
now. Yeah. And then we have a granddaughter in common. So once he got out, he spent a couple years in prison, and once he got out, we connected back again. And so he's now, married and just really working on himself. He also works with kids in Seattle, that are um, I'm going to call them underprivileged, or that don't have as much of a opportunity in life.
Oh, what a change.
Oh, it was huge. And he said to me, and it was so funny because I helped him work on forgiveness around his father after he got out. He said, "Can you help me?" That was huge.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
just
He's a different person altogether.
he's a different person. And so it has been really remarkable. So we meet for lunch every so often and get caught up. And I mean, it is a truly, not everybody has it. I'm going to say that not everybody gets that with an ex because I've got, a couple exes that I don't have contact with. But it doesn't mean that you can't do the forgiveness work because not everybody's meant to reconnect, right? Or reconcile in a relationship if it's not healthy for you. I just really want to make that clear. But in this process,
Okay, say that again. You are not always meant to reconnect if
right.
doing that would not be healthy for you. You-
Correct.
But in some cases, it would be healthy for you, and therefore, the
Yeah,
doing the forgiveness work and making the connection is a healthy thing to do.
it is. But you don't have to reconcile. You don't have to reconnect to do the forgiveness
You
work.
can just forgive,
Mhm.
bless, and release.
Yes, you can.
Okay,
Yes, you
that's a
can. And
good
in
thing.
my work, we do worksheets. There's actually tangible. What I say in my work, Roberta, is the worksheets and the things that I gives my head something to do so my heart can heal. Because, this process really helped me to get from my head to my heart.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't have to guess. And those people that are struggling, because some people can go, okay, I'm willing to forgive, right? They can get to that point and they can bless and release. They can just like, you know what? Yeah, I can do that. But some of these relationships have triggers in them from childhood, like that one was for me. He carried this pattern of rejection and abandonment that I had from my father and my mother. So he was showing me something that I was not seeing myself. I couldn't. So he was showing that when I was willing to look at it and when I was aware enough to go, oh, even though he has his own learning to do, right? He also was reflecting for me something really valuable.
Okay. And your work helps people to see the cases in which it will be helpful to reconnect in order to do the more complete forgiveness work,
Yep, it can or not. This is
or
another
not,
thing,
or
or not.
whether simply letting go with
Yep.
peace,
Yeah,
forgive and letting
simply
go.
Yeah, both of the ways I take people, the process I take people through is the same, whether you're going to reconnect or not.
Right.
In these worksheets and in this process that I teach in this and the space I hold is really good because it's in the fact where we can learn. It helps us.
Start that sentence
Oh,
again
sorry.
so you can cut that.
Sure. Okay. See, what did I say? Oh, so in the process that I teach, whether you're reconnecting or not, we can go through the same process, right? Because remember, it's all self-forgiveness. So whether we hear an I'm sorry or I forgive you, or whether we're able to say I'm sorry or I forgive you, it
Hmm.
doesn't really matter. It's the same process, which is that's what's beautiful about it. So it's a process because for some people like me, I needed the process because I felt lost. I felt like I just couldn't forgive and forget. I couldn't, release and I couldn't bless anybody. I was like, no, let alone myself.
You have to learn to do the forgiveness work.
Mhm.
And once you've learned to do that forgiveness work well,
Yeah.
it's much easier for you to keep on doing it in all situations.
Oh, it is. In
Yes,
fact, you look forward to it.
you look forward to it.
You,
Exactly.
yeah, you look forward to it because now you have that feeling of what it's like to feel free.
It is an empowerment. You've given yourself this extra wonderful skill.
Yeah,
I know what that's like. It's huge. To me, it's a tremendous empowerment.
it is.
People are afraid of it though, Brenda. They really are.
Yeah, they're afraid. Like, what I hear mainly is, I don't know who I am without this anger,
Yes,
right?
exactly. That's
Mhm.
exactly it. They
Yeah.
feel as if the anger is a power, but
They,
it's not. It's a weakness. It's not a strength.
they don't realize what the anger is doing to them physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
separating us. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The real strength is the power to forgive, giving yourself the tremendous gift
Yes.
of being able to forgive and especially to forgive yourself.
Oh, especially to forgive
What
you.
a power that is.
Well, it's truly a life changer.
Yeah.
And it's something, and it's not a one and done because we're human. And so
Yeah.
it's an everyday process in the sense of like, we were talking before recording, like just having a crazy morning, right? Where nothing's quite going the right way and you're getting
Right.
frustrated and angry.
Right. And you can sort of, okay, sit quietly
Yeah.
and forgive yourself for the fact that you've kind of gone off the rails today and you're starting again.
Yep.
And
And
it
that's
works
exactly
out
what I did.
fine. Yeah.
And that's what I did. I just sat with myself and just went, really, in the big scheme of things, is it worth being upset about?
No,
No, it's not, you know?
exactly.
And then I could breathe and I could feel that. Now, I couldn't do that when I first started. First
Right.
started was a little rough, right? But learning to do this and being willing, that's a big word in forgiveness. I use the word willing all the time because sometimes people have a hard time with the word forgiveness. So what I say is, can you be willing to forgive yourself? Can you be willing to forgive yourself? When we use the word willing, it changes how our brain thinks because our brain will come up with all sorts of ideas of why we're not going to forgive, how what we did this and we did that and we did this or they did that, all of these,
They did that. It's always their fault.
it's always
Yeah.
their fault. And so, but when we go, wait a second, can I be willing to forgive?
Yeah.
The brain kind of goes, oh, well, huh. So you get that pause, right?
Yes.
It's like a pattern interrupted. You get that pause, and it's in that pause that you can take some deep breaths and just center and change the thought and the feeling, right? The feelings and the thoughts go hand in hand. So in this pause, when I say I am willing, and even not even to forgive, I am willing to look at this differently.
Hocus pocus, change the focus.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's true because we've got to give ourselves that little pause.
Yeah.
So when we do that, however works for us, I love that little saying. See, that would be really good. That's catchy. And it just, once we get that moment, then we can change our physical location because that's also a good way to kind of change a pattern, right? Just turn or step out of the room. We can also take some deep breaths. Breath is the magic thing to center ourselves, and
Yeah.
then we can go, wait, how do I want to view this? How do I want to look at this person? How do I want to look at myself? Am I ready to change?
Yep. To
Yeah.
me, it helps a lot to always remember that the person that you blame, the outside person that you blame, is not bothered at all by whatever it is they did. We always other the situation when in fact we are the one who holds on to the situation, and we are the only one who is damaged by it. So we can free ourselves, and that should be our focus. Oh,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Freeing ourselves is our focus. I believe that's kind of our purpose to be here, really, is
yeah.
to learn to love ourselves, to learn to accept ourselves. Because self-forgiveness and self-acceptance goes hand in hand. I need to learn to forgive myself so I can accept who I am, because that's the magic for me in forgiveness is learning to accept all those parts of me that I think are damaged. They're not damaged.
And understanding how completely and perfectly we are loved by God. Each one of us is God's own best beloved child.
Yes.
That's a fact. So if God loves you that much, who are you to see yourself as imperfect? How
Correct.
dare you try to overrule God? God loves you so perfectly. So you sit a little taller,
Yeah.
you take a deeper breath, and you think, wow, well, if that's God's opinion, okay, I guess I forgive myself
Yeah.
since God already has.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people,
Absolutely.
that's a revelation. They never understood just how God sees them, which is perfect, already perfect.
Yeah. I remember understanding that it took me a while too, because I really thought with all of the choices I had made, the things I had done, because I'm sober now and I was drinking and just trying to deal with life and the choices I made during that time. And I separated myself, right? I felt like God couldn't look at me. Would,
That's right.
right?
How could God possibly have that opinion of you? But God does.
Yes. And having someone help me understand that, like helping people understand this, it was a revelation to me. It's like, wait a minute, what? It's like God loves you unconditional. No, no, it doesn't matter what you do. You are perfect. And it's
You're
like,
already perfect.
I know it was so, when I just started to let that sink in, that helped me so much.
When you
Learn.
finally get it, it's just,
Yeah.
wow.
I know you look at everything differently. You look at people differently. Right? If you look at everyone as, wait a minute, God thinks they're perfect. Why don't I?
Yeah.
What
It's,
is it? Right?
it is so amazing to know that that's God's opinion. Who am I to have a lesser opinion than God? I
Right.
don't see what God sees. That's it. I got to learn to see what God sees.
Yes. And the willingness again. See, that's where the willing comes in too, because just being willing opens up the curiosity of, huh, if God sees that, maybe I can see that.
Yeah. With fresh eyes. Yeah.
With fresh eyes. And sometimes we need a little extra help, in doing that because like I said, we are human. So we've got these beliefs and we've got these little patterns that we've acquired that maybe aren't working for us anymore, that keep us from seeing other people like God sees us.
One problem is the Christian religion. I hate to say it. It teaches us that are we are fallen,
Yeah.
and that God judges us so harshly that in order for God to forgive us, Jesus had to die on a cross, taking all our sins, our many failings onto him. I mean, that makes us feel so lousy.
Oh my gosh, it does. I was hearing too, there's a part, I don't know which church it was, which religion, but there's a thing in there, maybe it's Catholic, that says, I'm not worthy to receive you.
Sure.
My whole body just cringed. It's like, what?
Many people have to leave Christianity in order to understand the truth, which is God thinks we are already absolutely perfect. We are God's best beloved child.
Yes, and we're worthy no matter what.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
That's right.
matter. We're worthy no matter what.
God
And
sees
I
us
was,
through God's eyes, not through man's eyes, not at
no,
all.
no. And we do need to as humans, we do need to take responsibility for our choices and our decisions and our actions. Learning to
Because
do that.
we are learning to grow into what God already
Yes.
sees us as, which is perfect.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I mean, it does make you sit up
It
taller.
does actually. It does. It's like, whoa. And it's like a little kid when their parent is proud of them, right? How they just kind of stand
Absolutely.
up and they're like, yes. That's how we can look at
When
it.
you know your parents perfectly love you, you get a little sense of how God sees you. And
Absolutely.
you want to be the best kid in the school because your parents already see you that way. That's exactly how God sees us.
I know if we can just hold on to that, like as that kid in us, that childlike, right? That
Yeah.
childlike is like when we can do that and hold on to that, it changes how we view ourselves.
And we very quickly begin to grow into what God already sees, which is
Hmm.
perfection. That's what we grow into.
Yes.
But so many people that I've counseled because I've heard from them and they just they're afraid to leave the religion because the religion tells them if you leave, you are going to be damned. And it's just a terrible thing. So when I counsel them, I say that, not with the eyes of man does God see.
Mm.
It's just,
Yes.
yes, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to really know and try to live according to what God already sees in us, which is perfection.
Yes. I'm glad you are there to counsel people around this because this is so helpful. We need to talk more about this, right? So more and more people can feel okay, right? And feel worthy because like that, they get these thoughts and these beliefs and it's like, no, no, that's, let's learn to question, is that true? Is that true for me? Is that how I really feel? Maybe I can look at it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can teach them truly to forgive themselves, which
Yes.
is what you are teaching. For people truly, truly to forgive themselves, then they can live closer to God all the time. Feel that God is always there, which God always is. But many
Yeah.
people don't even feel they are worthy to approach God. Um, that's the problem. They people don't feel that they're worthy to approach God. It's just
Yeah. I know that feeling. That's how I felt for a long time. Up
yeah,
into my 40s, I felt that way. I just did not feel worthy because of, the different things that I felt I had done wrong. And, getting reconnected, that's what I call it. Because it's like I didn't find God. God's never gone anywhere. Right? It's
no,
like,
it's
I didn't lose
there.
him. I didn't lose anything, right? But
Yeah.
except for myself, I felt separated. So I separated myself. So when I got reconnected to whether people call it God, source, universe, doesn't, it's this energy. When I got reconnected, which I call it God, it was so loving, more than I've ever felt
Yes.
before.
Yes. There's no feeling of safety and love and joy. I like that feeling that
Hmm.
God's right there with you all the time and loving you and just you're enveloped in this sense of perfect love, safety, and just the joy of being loved by God and held safely in God's arms, there's no joy like that. That is the best joy you can possibly feel.
It is. It is. And for some people, it takes some steps to get there.
Yeah. And you have to basically remove all the not God feelings.
Yes.
Have people save themselves from those not God feelings, forgive whatever they have to forgive in themselves.
Yeah,
And then they can experience that joy.
absolutely. And I just want everyone to feel that they are worthy of this. I mean, that we are
Than
worthy.
worthy. Oh, yes.
Right. I mean, that we
If
are
God
divine.
sees them as worthy, well, darn it, they should certainly see themselves as worthy.
I know, why not? Why not? Right? This is what I was telling somebody the other day. It's like, well, okay. So you have most of your life have felt unworthy, right? And that you didn't matter and that you're not smart enough. All these beliefs that we have, I'm not lovable, all these things. I said, so you've thought that way, and how's that working for you? You know,
Uh,
and she's like, yeah, it's not. I said, so why not try it a different way?
Try it God's way.
Yeah, why not try it and see it through God's eyes? Why don't we just try it and see how this works? And she's
Yeah.
like, I've never thought of it like that before. I just thought I was stuck with these feelings and I didn't want to carry that weight anymore. Right? Because that weight of unworthiness filters out to everything we do. It stops us from shining our light. It stops us from connecting heart to heart with other people. It stops us from living the life that we're meant to live.
Yes, that's the problem. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, and all because of this thought that we could actually change this thought and this feeling that if we just became curious, thought, I've been thinking this way, let's try it. Let's just try it and see what happens. And every time, everybody's like, oh, wow, this is so good. Like my client, yesterday is like, wow, I didn't believe that I could let this heaviness go.
That's what you have to do.
And we can. We can give ourselves permission. We don't even have to have, sometimes, we feel like we need permission from someone else to do things. We can give ourselves permission to look at life differently, to look at God differently, to look at my relationship with myself differently. I can give myself permission, and each person can give themselves permission to go, maybe I'm going to get curious and say, maybe I am worthy of love. Maybe I am worthy of dreaming. Maybe I am worthy of forgiving them or forgiving myself. Maybe. Just start there.
Yeah. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world."
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, start thinking that way. And a light is never put under a bushel, but on a lampstand, and it gives light onto everyone in the house. That's who you
Yeah.
are. You are that light.
Thank you. And so are you.
But
Yeah,
that's how all of the people you counsel are. They're all that light.
they are. They are. And that's the beauty because I get to see the light. They can't see it because they're covering it up, right? With all of
You
these
get under
other.
that bushel. Jesus said,
Yep.
"Don't put it
Yeah.
there. Put it on
Yeah.
a lampstand."
Yeah, put it on the lampstand. And when I get to hold that and I get to keep speaking to it, right? I speak to it and I speak to this light that they are.
Brighter and brighter.
Yeah. And then they become, it's like, ooh, okay, think I can believe her. I think, yeah, I'm willing, and you get to watch it. So like yesterday when I got to see her just glow
Yeah,
with the willingness to go, I can let go of this now.
yeah.
It it's beautiful because now we've got somebody that's going to go out in the world and shine that light even brighter.
And once you forgive yourself, each of the people that you counsel, each of the people that I talk with too,
Yeah.
once they forgive themselves for everything, they do shine. And people
Mhm.
see that light and they're drawn to that light. Then they can in turn help other people shine their light. That's what it's
Oh,
all about.
that is what it's all about. It's a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
We affect so many people around us. I mean, we've got examples all the time. Like if we wake up grumpy and then everybody else we come into, our lives is like everybody woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. Well, that's because, our energy, it matters. It kind of
Absolutely.
draws other energy like a light bulb, like a light, right?
Right,
And so,
right.
but when we're willing to go, I am worthy, I am lovable, God's, got me. And then pretty soon that ripples out to other people and they're going, huh, maybe I can think that way too. It's powerful. We don't realize that we matter. One person can make a difference.
Yes. Oh, such a difference.
Powerful.
But the thing is that you're teaching people how to make that difference, and that is very powerful too. I mean, that makes such a meaningful difference. I
Mm.
mean, every time I have someone here to talk to people, and
Yeah.
we tell them at the end of our time together, which by the way, we reached the end of our
Yes.
time together. Um, but every time we do that, we say that, we also say, you are a powerful eternal being. Each person listening to us now is a powerful eternal being. They all have these same powers to make a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah.
Everyone listening to us now never began and never will end. And that's just a fact. To be reminded of that is
Mm.
empowering. It's
Yes.
so empowering.
So empowering. It
And
really
that's
is.
why I love doing this because I don't want anyone ever to forget that. It's so easy in the course of our day
Mm.
to kind of, believe for a moment what the world tells us,
Yes.
that we're going to die or that, this or that negative thing is true. None of the negative garbage is true. It's not true at all. We are eternal and we are beautiful, all of us. Doesn't matter what we look like.
Nope.
We are beautiful beings, every one of us. And I just love constantly reminding people of that.
I'm
I
so
do
glad you do.
so, you do such a beautiful job of helping people remember that. I just
Thank you.
love, love, love you. I think you're just
Oh,
wonderful.
thank you. I feel the same about you. And it is. It's so important for each person to be reminded, right? We got to
Much
remind
as
each.
possible.
Yes. Yep, we're here to remind each other.
So, what do you want people to take away from our conversation today?
Oh, I want them to take away that they're worthy, that they are worthy of being loved, of loving themselves, that they can be willing to look at the situations that is weighing them down differently,
Mhm.
that maybe they can see themselves through the eyes of God. And if that's a little bit much, just start with being willing to look at yourself differently and be kind. Just start to be kind and catch that negative self-talk and turn it around. Just be willing. Just one statement. Start with baby steps. And that changes everything because really we can't be so kind to others until we are truly kind and loving ourselves. That's what we're all seeking. We are all seeking the love
That we already have,
that we already have, and that we already are,
yes,
right?
it's already in ourselves. We
Mhm.
just need to bring it forth.
Yes, we
Love
do.
it, trust it, and allow it to be, and
Yes,
shine it forth. Take that light from under the basket and put it on a candle stand, and it will give light to all the house. Absolutely
absolutely.
right.
Because every single person, every single one of us is so beautiful
Oh,
and
yes.
worth it. So worth loving. That's what I want people to feel.
Yes. Beautifully said. Thank you, my darling.
Oh, thank you, Roberta.
Well, you stay right there because I want to talk to you afterwards, but we finally have come to the end of our time together this time, and I really have enjoyed this very much. Oh, my dear ones, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm so happy you could be with us today. Please never forget, You are a powerful, eternal being. You never began, you never will end. And when you get that, and all the implications of that fact is going to change everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guests will be Carol and Mikey Morgan. Now, most people I think who've been listening here for a while will know who these people are. This is their 25th time with us. Mikey is a genuine sixth level being, and the last time he lived on Earth before this lifetime was in the 1600s. And a sixth level being is someone who lives now. He's so highly developed spiritually. He lives on the level of the afterlife, just below the source level. But he was worried about how things are going on Earth, as you can imagine he would be. So he came back to Earth in 1997. He died just 20 years later. And 20 in 2007, I think that math works out, at the age of 20. And his mother, Carol, now helps him to teach us. I've tested our dear Mikey 6 ways to Sunday, as they say. He is exactly who he claims to be. He knows much more about the afterlife than I do. And I've been studying it my whole life, as you know. And he does answer everybody's questions who sends us questions. So if you want Mikey to answer one of your questions, just send it to me by email through the green contact block on robertagrimes.com, and he will eventually answer your question. We have a little backlog now. But please be sure to join us next week because this is a really crowd favorite every time Carol and Mikey are our guests. He sometimes his answers surprise me, but they're always right. They're sometimes though more right than I would expect. He knows, more about the afterlife than I do, but we always love having them as our guests. And this week we've been talking with Brenda Reiss, who has been with us for the sixth time. Brenda is our guru here for forgiveness and self-forgiveness. And as you know, she does a wonderful job of teaching us things even beyond forgiveness, which really, as Jesus told us, is kind of the basis of everything we come here to learn. She wrote a book, which it really is a wonderful book. It's called Forgive Yourself. I recommend it to everybody to read. And really, she teaches so much more than forgiveness. She teaches people how more perfectly to live. She'll be back again. We have her back every few months at this point. But really, I just love her. As you can see, she's kind of a fount of joy. But she got there kind of the hard way, living a very difficult life at first. And those are the people who really make the greatest teachers, frankly. And as you know, our great friend Craig Hogan is the president and guru of Seek Reality Online, which is your one-stop resource for all things afterlife. Just go to seekreality.com and start to learn for yourself that your own reality not only is eternal, but it's going to be far more glorious than anything you can imagine now. And of course, teachingsbyjesus.com is your best resource for all the beautiful divine truths that are brought to us in perfect love by the greatest teacher of them all, Master Jesus. The Christianity that people practice now was not taught by Jesus. It was taught by the Roman Emperor Constantine 300 years after Jesus was resurrected. But now it really is Jesus's turn. So go to teachingsbyjesus.com and start to learn the real truth from the real Jesus. And as you know, I have some nonfiction books, but you can find them on robertagrimes.com. I don't have time to talk about them now because we kind of talked a little over, but they're there. And in addition, there are more than 550 past episodes of Seek Reality at this point. They're available wherever audio podcasts can be found, and the more recent ones can be found wherever video podcasts can be found. And meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy and make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you are a powerful, eternal being, and you, most of all in this entire universe, you are infinitely, eternally, and perfectly loved.